I welcome everyone to my channel and invite you to shed light with me and reveal all the piquant details of Pablo Picasso's painting Nude, Green Leaves and Bust. This painting is not just a famous world masterpiece painted by Pablo Picasso, but also an identification of his sexual life of the 30s. The history of the canvas closely intersects with the history of the artist himself and his romantic relationships. In those years, the artist's muse was Maria Theresa Voltaire, a young and cheerful blonde, not burdened with excessive reflection, sensual and light by nature, contrasting Picasso's wife Olga Koklova, with whom the artist's relationship was depressingly unbearable and annoyingly complex. At that time, Picasso portrayed his wife in the image of an old woman with a distorted body, devoid of at least any femininity and sexuality. The artist met his mistress Maria in 1927th year in Paris. At that time, Picasso was married to Olga and tried his best to hide Maria from prying eyes both in society and in his art. But, despite his futile efforts, the canvases created by him treacherously betrayed his forbidden romance. Smooth lines began to prevail in the artist's paintings, reminding the rounded shapes of Maria Theresa with their softness. She was of great importance to him because she was the embodiment of fantasy and fueled his creativity, while the reality personified by Volga did not bring any pleasure. After many years, Picasso will say that this woman was only mine. She had a soul that I endowed her with. She brought a sense of risk, unrestrained passion, and surrealism to the artist's life. Overcome by inspiration, Picasso paints Maria over and over again, usually depicting her naked, passionate, and sexually accessible. Their relationship lasted about 8 years. Maria, of course, fell in love with the artist and was ready to forgive him, both her unstable position as a mistress and his constant intrigues and hobbies with other women. After Picasso's passion faded, he still continued to support Voltaire financially and for the girl herself. A casual street acquaintance turned into the love of her life, and even after losing the status of a mistress, she tried to maintain a relationship with Picasso, secretly hoping that sooner or later the artist would marry her, but this never happened. 4 years after the death of her lover, Maria hanged herself in the garage of her house. Here is such a possibly trivial and rather vital story accompanying the work of a brilliant artist. I think that these facts also influenced the cost of the famous canvas, making the painting the most expensive work in the history of art. But I'll talk about this a little later. The nude green leaves and bust are considered to be the most important work of art by Picasso. The period between the two world wars is undoubtedly one of the best paintings of 1932nd year. This painting is very detailed, but at the same time unites and coordinates the pictorial ideas and emotional themes touched upon by Picasso. Naked Green Leaves Biased is undoubtedly the most complex and mysterious in a series of works with Maria Theresa. The canvas seems to reflect the tense triangle of the artist's personal life, which he himself created. In the painting, the model's skin is a delicate lavender shade, and her hands are placed under her head, mirroring the plants above her. Picasso presents Maria Theresa as a beneficent muse, as the goddess of sex and lust. Her body is accessible and submissive to touch. He watches his beloved and at the same time strives to possess her, transforming carnal impulse into art. The Greek bust standing on the stand is also painted with Maria Theresa. In contrast to the smoothness of the naked mistress's body, the bust is painted with a thick layer of paint, imitating the texture of plaster. The plant is depicted growing from the very body of the model. It comes out from under her delicate skin, soaked with the sexual energy of a young and sensual woman. The curtain in the background seems to hide the whole scene from the eyes of his wife and curious society, hiding such an important moment for the artist of his passion. And near the hand of his mistress, Picasso depicted a plate with apples, thereby conveying his sinful temptation. Here, the observant will not be able not to notice that there is a figure in the picture that is not obvious at first glance. In the background, a dark profile can be traced in the drapery of the curtain, expressing the presence of Picasso himself next to his beloved. He tirelessly watches the object of his lust, overcome with excitement and obsession, He holds the object of his love in victorious control. You can also see that, like a cipher code, vertical black stripes appear in the picture, which pass in the neck area of the Italian Maria Teresa, then hiding, then moving to the foreground. One strip runs up the naked body and then twists around the bust, combining life and art in such an allegorical way into a single whole. Both lines follow their design, turning into the first letters of the artist's name. Thus, the author puts his initials on the body of his mistress, identifying domination over her, and talking about her influence on his art. This confirms the words that Picasso said to Maria at the moment of their first meeting in 1927 year. Together we will do great things. Now let's see how the world met such a stunning masterpiece by Pablo Picasso. In 1936 year, the nude was purchased from Picasso by his personal art dealer Paul Rosenberg. The outbreak of World War II forced him to close his Paris gallery and flee to New York. And so, in May of 1940 year, Paul hid his shares and an extensive part of the collection in several places. But the warehouse, where the naked green leaves and bust were stored, was preserved and remained untouched. After the reopening of the gallery on January 2nd, 1951 year, Rosenberg sells the painting to the Brody family, collectors from Los Angeles. Since then, it has been in private family ownership, and collectors refused to put the work on display, making an exception only once, in 1961, for Picasso's 80th birthday. The Brodys were so in love with this canvas that they even forbade museum curators and photographers to take color photographs of the work. After their death, the painting was sold by the Christie's auction house on the 4th of May, 2010 year, for $100 million, and that year became the most expensive work of art in history, beating all records. And according to estimates, the price of the painting has increased more than 5,000 times over 6 decades. Although the official name of the lucky man was not disclosed, Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich is considered to be among the most likely buyers. In the 2011 year, the owner agreed to put the nude on public display at the Tay Art Museum in London. The painting was leased to the museum for a period of 2 years.